What's up, Alex?
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
Pretty good.
That was a really bad intro. We just jumped in because you started laughing. We've started this twice.
I think it was great, man. It's very raw,
Yeah,
like
raw and
very
uncut.
raw and uncut. That's what people want.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want any of that fake
You want
stuff.
to see the real thing.
Yeah.
Alex, before we start, like, share, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell. I think that's all the things. What we'll do today is we're gonna do a factor faked or factor fiction kind of rundown. I have 13 or 14 questions to ask. We'll go through pretty quick. And then I might even throw in a short 7-round. I know it sounds short, and 7 rounds sounds like they don't match up, but a short 7-round mock draft for Washington at the very end. So stick around to the conclusion of our conversation, and then we'll kind of go from there.
And hold on, you didn't share these with me beforehand, right?
No, I did not. These are surprise. These are surprise attack questions. Most of them are dealing with stuff that you may have a different opinion on than me. Too.
Okay, that's cool.
So before we do that, what do you think of this Rashee Rice situation?
Just that it's crazy, and I don't know what these people think that when they make they're professional athletes and they think they're just above the law. Stupid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all. I mean, this is a little bit closer to you because that's a big rival team to you, and it's you probably know more about this player. I don't really know anything about him.
He was a rookie last year. For those who don't know, he had 900 and some yards last year for the Chiefs. He was a really good rookie.
Pretty good.
Yeah, he was an SMU grad, so he was pulled. Well, he wasn't pulled over. He fled the scene in Dallas, where he's close to where he went to school at. So he was seen at. For people that say he wasn't there, they're not sure if he was there. He was there. He's on camera. Like, let's stop doubting our eyes because the courts haven't decided the verdict yet. Like we were talking about earlier.
You can see it going down. You can picture it in your head after it went down, and all his friends, dude, you got to get out of here. Go.
Yeah. Because they were going like 100 miles an hour, racing a vet in a Lamborghini SUV. It wasn't even like a Lamborghini like we're thinking. There's like 4 people climbed out of that car. Thank goodness no one died. That would have been awful. And you think people learned their lesson after the whole Henry Ruggs thing, I mean, he killed somebody and a dog.
Yeah.
Going 160 or 50 or whatever in a residential zone, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just stupidity. I don't care who you're hanging out with or who your friends are. I know they're young guys, but I've never been in a situation. We've all been young and stupid. I've never been in a situation where I was like, let's race going 150 miles an hour on a highway where people in the morning, like, why? So most likely he's drunk and fled the scene or had been semi-intoxicated at the very least. So,
yeah.
All right, let's, you got anything else before we get started into the questions?
Nope.
All right, cool. So my first question, fact or fiction? JJ McCarthy is quarterback 2 in this draft now.
You want me to go?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Definitely fiction. I'm on the Jayden Daniels train. I think it makes the most sense. I get, a lot of hype around JJ McCarthy, but you got to remember this happens every year with somebody. There's always starting people that are expected to be in the front, and then there's always somebody, oh, what about, so don't get me wrong. I think he's really impressive, but no, I think that's fiction.
Okay.
I know there's been a lot of talk, and you mentioned a couple people that have mentioned that, but I'm not buying it.
Yeah, someone was on Twitter talking about when Harbaugh made his comments about McCarthy about a month ago, saying he's the best quarterback in this draft. They made it some weird, like, I mean, to be honest, the person made it a weird race thing. And I was like, this is just his ex-player. He's trying to prop him up some. But
yeah.
I think at the time I said, like, other than Caleb Williams, who has his own issues, but he's maybe by far the best player in the, like, most consensus player in the draft. I could see McCarthy making like a meteoric rise if he has a great pro day, which he did. having a good combine, which he did, having good interviews, which I've heard from all reports he did. So I could see him leapfrogging at least from Bo Nix and Penix, which I think that's a guarantee at this point. Well,
I don't know if you remember, but our first mock draft, I had him going to the Giants at 6. So I do think that he's a top, 10 for sure. I think somebody's going to probably move up to get him.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it's 1 or 2.
You're probably right. I'm in agreement.
Or
I think
3.
it's fiction.
I don't even think it's 3.
Yeah, I think it's fiction. I do think
that surprises me.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go second. I don't think it's smokescreen. I think he's just got a lot of momentum.
Yeah,
but I do think he's he's now in the conversation of top 5, and I don't think anybody would hurt. No one's feelings are going to be hurt if Washington takes him. I could be like, I get it.
No,
I can see they may have just liked him better. He's in that conversation now. So, but I don't think he's QB2 or he'll go QB2.
Right.
I did want to share one thing. It's a little short. Someone had an opinion based on the pro day for Drake Maye, and I wanted to show that really quick. Hold on real quick. This is from the Junkies earlier today also, and just tell me what your thoughts are on this, okay? If you can't hear it, let me know.
Have the number 2 pick. So here is some boots on the ground audio from Cerrone Battle, who was up close and personal during Drake Maye's pro day yesterday in North Carolina.
What did you see today, Cerrone?
Well, I was sitting there. I don't think I was supposed to be where I was, but I was right on the sidelines to his right. And there was a couple 49ers and Jets scouts, whatever, standing right next to me. He made a rollout throw with somebody in his face about 50 yards down the sidelines, and they started singing the OJ song, Money, 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 Money. So I don't know what the fans, whatever, but from what I saw in the responses of some of the other coaches, Dan Quinn saw a throw, he shook his head and started walking like he was leaving. He saw enough. And they were impressed, and they were telling everybody they were impressed. These are the NFL guys. These aren't the fans or whatever. And I've been to Patriots training camp and all this stuff. I've been down on Drake Maye, but he did make throws you see in person that were better than anything I saw at training camp last year. And it was oohs and ahs from the NFL people, and there wasn't fans in there. And like I said, Niners, Jets, couple other teams, Dan Quinn, they were singing OJ's Money, 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 Money. And I don't know if that tells you anything, but I don't think they was down on Drake Maye as Twitter is. Yes, he did throw the throw into the stands. I was on that side where he threw it. But out of 60 throws, 58 of them were hitting the guys in the hands. Most of the coaches, some of them were standing behind the quarterbacks. The more he threw, about 40, 50 throws in, Elliott Wolf, of all people, crept up behind him and was standing right behind the UNC coaches and all those guys. He was the only one that got a little closer. So if they're giving hints that they're out on him, he definitely looked like he was very interested. But I can clearly tell by the reactions by all the coaches and scouts that were there, and they were shaking their head and grinning. So I think the guys at the top of the draft, he's going to be gone by the time you get to 4th or whatever. But yeah, my honest opinion, the way Elliott Wolf and Mayo was reacting, they're not trading out of that pick.
So who's Elliott? Do you know who Elliott Wolf is?
Okay.
I didn't know if he was like associated with the Commanders or if that was somebody else in this situation. I just thought it was worth noting that he had such a strong performance to give myself credence for Drake Maye. And
this means absolutely nothing. Just because they're cheering and screaming money, money, money. I mean, think about it. If they're really that impressed, don't you think they'd be smart enough not to really show their hand? Instead, they're doing the opposite, where they prop everybody up. Oh, he looked great. They're not going to show their cards.
I heard Jayden Daniels just had a bad pro day too.
No, you didn't. You think he had a bad pro day, but no. I mean, and they were on the stands on that too, and they were, they made comments too. I mean, this is just what they do it's silly.
All right, whatever. You're never going to be convinced.
It's funny how we all get into this same routine every single year. Even the junkies and all, come on. They just need something to talk about. That's ridiculous.
All right. Next question. Broncos draft a quarterback in the first round. They're pick 12 right now. they'd have to use a considerable amount of ammo to move up. They could probably sit tight and take Bo Nix or Penix at 12. Do you think they stay and pick, or do you think they wait till 2025 to take a quarterback?
Well, hold on. What's the question? Just that they pick a quarterback in the first round?
Are they going to take a first round quarterback?
I would say yes. True.
Okay. True. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in that same boat. The Sean Payton, the coach, seems impatient. He got rid of Russell Wilson, eating a bunch of cap. There is something to be said about that, right? Like, he had to had some sort of input when it comes to that kind of thing. So I don't think that I don't think that's just so they can start Jared Stidham, I also think that's true.
Yeah. And I think that franchise just seems to be a very impatient franchise, especially in the last 5-10 years. I mean, obviously with Russell Wilson, and I think that they know that their fan base needs somebody. They can't keep going with who's on their roster now
for quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Jared Stidham.
Yeah, you mentioned him. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to go back to our original mock draft. This is actually where we had JJ McCarthy. I know things have changed, and we're allowed to change our mind on that. Yeah. But I think that the ultimate theme is I think they need a quarterback, and they're going to draft one.
Okay,
for sure.
Bo
Nix, maybe Penix. Yeah.
Okay. This next one's a two-parter, and it applies to Washington a little bit. So this is a little bit of a crazier one too. Do you think Harbaugh trades Justin Herbert for pick number 2? So Washington gets Herbert so he can draft JJ McCarthy. Or do you think there's any chance he trades Herbert and takes McCarthy anyway, even if he doesn't give you pick 2 or take, trade pick 2 for you? Any chance of that, you think? Because he's been talking highly.
I mean, I'm fully admit I'm not an expert in any of this, so this is purely my opinion, which doesn't mean much. But
well, none of us are. It's speculation.
I don't think that Harbaugh would be saying how great he's the best quarterback he's ever seen, all this kind of stuff, if he had any intention whatsoever to try to get him.
Okay,
so I'm going to say false on that.
Okay, me too. So you think that it's smoke screen season, that he's trying to get people to move up ahead of him to get McCarthy, and then he can pick the best player available at pick 5, like Marvin Harrison Jr., basically?
Maybe, and it could just be that he's giving his quarterback props that he coached because he respects him that much and wants him to do well. And maybe he has different motives in the draft, and he doesn't plan on getting him. I just think if he really wanted to get him, he wouldn't be saying these things. He wouldn't be saying, "Oh, he's the best quarterback," Yeah.
No. Yeah. Okay. Next one. Either or, Jayden Daniels or Drake Maye fall out of the top 10 because of a McCarthy rise.
I think Drake Maye for sure.
There's a possibility, you think?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I think if it's either one, I think Maye is probably the one.
You think?
He's so similar in physical skill set to Levis.
From a lot of people had not a lot, but a few people on the mock drafts on TV on ESPN, they had Maye fall into the Vikings. So
yeah, it could happen. That's the thing, I don't even know the Vikings. The Vikings, I think, move up anyway. But let's say Daniels goes 2, and New England trades out of their pick and gives it to the Vikings.
Yeah.
They come up and get McCarthy. All of a sudden, Drake Maye is set to fall.
Yeah.
Something crazy happens, like Atlanta.
Yeah, that's true.
Him as a backup to Cousins in the beginning. But Levis was similar. Levis was supposed to be a top 10 pick last year, and he fell off in the first round. So it could happen. I think if it is, it's Maye, because Maye has more of the same concerns as Levis.
Yeah.
With, inconsistencies, but he also has a strong arm, mobile, all the good stuff. So, Commanders win 9 games, over, under.
Oh, that's a good line too.
If Jayden is their, Jayden Daniels is their quarterback.
I sound like such a homer if I say yes, but I'm going to say yes. I think that they do. I think that he just brings a couple W's just because of him.
Okay. I say under, but a lot of that hinges on we just don't know a lot. I could see them going over 9, because of the strength of schedule is going to be low because you came in last place in the division. So you'll
and
end
for
up.
the record, by the way, full disclosure, I predicted 10 to 11 wins last year. You predicted, I want to say 7.
7 or 9. Yeah, somewhere between 7 and 9.
So, I mean, yeah.
We're both pretty wrong.
Don't
They
listen to
won like
me.
4 or 5 or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I can see it though with the last place schedule they're playing though, because if you're in last place in your division, you play the other last place teams.
Yeah.
So that could be 3 wins. And I think Dallas is going to be a little worse than last year. Let's say you steal 1. Say you beat the Giants twice because they lost Saquon.
Yeah.
That's 6. And then you're talking about maybe there's one other random game that you get from the other conference. It's going to be a last place team, 7.
Yeah.
And then if you split with the AFC division you're playing, that's 9. It's going to be tough. Jayden's going to have to be the real deal, though, in order to pull that off, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Next one. Dak Prescott walks next year instead of being extended or re-signed because he's in his last year.
Yeah.
Or what would you do? Would you keep him?
I would keep him. I really would. Yeah.
So
this doesn't mean that it, but I don't. That's not how I would still say that he probably walks. If I had to guess, I would keep him though. But I think he walks because the Cowboys are perennial playoff team. But but they always lose. They've got to blame somebody. The owner ain't going nowhere. I think the coach will probably get fired, but I think there's going to be some shakeups if that if that happens.
So it's probably like the age-old question, right? It's similar to Tua. I think Dak is better than Tua. I think we saw, even though that Dallas lost to Miami last year when they went to Miami.
Yeah.
Dallas.
He's definitely better than Tua.
Yeah. But you could see it on tape when they were both playing against each other that Dak did more to control the game and take the team on his back than Tua could.
Yeah.
And but I do see them in the same bracket of like,
you do.
They're good enough not to be good enough, right? So that's kind of like the worst case scenario. For me, I let him walk. And the reason is because I think if you don't have a guy, like a real guy, you got to keep looking no matter if it makes you worse first. So the whole thing is the fan base and go, who are you going to get that's better? But
well,
it doesn't matter.
I've got terrible short-term. I've got terrible memories, but so I'm trying to remember the Green Bay playoff game. I mean, to me, it seemed like more the defense, like dropped the ball.
Sure.
I don't think he played terribly, but he had a couple picks, right? Or he had 1 or 2.
At least two, I think he at least 1 and 2. No, he had 2 or 3.
Okay, I thought he had at least 2.
That's not even as big of my issue. It's like, if you have a player, do you have a player that if you're struggling, can you put the game on his back and can he will you to victory? Right.
Yeah.
Which takes like a top 5 quarterback. So my take is always this: if you have a number 10 or 11 quarterback and have to surround him with elite talent everywhere just to get to the playoffs and win a game or 2, I want a different guy. And I'm okay with taking a year step back in order to get that guy versus like keep going down the same road with this player and pay him a lot of money when you know he probably will never win you a Super Bowl,
Yeah, he is kind of getting that reputation that he doesn't feel like a winner anymore. So
no. And can he even do it with his skill set? Like, you have to spend a lot of money around him just to make it work versus certain teams. The Chiefs are a good example, right? They don't need to surround Pat Mahomes with elite talent everywhere. They just needs a few guys, and then the rest can be filled in relatively cheap. And your defense just needs to play above par, and he's going to be competitive every year.
Yeah.
And he's not Did I lose you for a second? Okay. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I think they should move on, and I'm starting to think they might. So I don't know.
I just think, how many times do we see this where be careful what you wish for, because you get so used to winning and regular season, that is not the playoffs, and then you move on from somebody, and then you are even worse off than you were. I mean, to your point, that's the only way you can try to get better.
Yeah.
So obviously, but I really like Dak Prescott, even though he's on the Cowboys. I saw a lot in him last year that I never even saw before, like the little things of he knows how to use his head. for the defense, where that sounds silly, but most quarterbacks don't even do that. He does
He's looking off safeties and things like that.
He is a really smart player. He's good with audibles. But you're right. He just always comes up short.
To be clear, he's like right on the line of what I would want and not want, like he's right there. Like he almost can get it, I think.
Yeah.
But he's not quite there, so it wouldn't hurt them to keep him. But
who would you rather have, him or Kirk Cousins?
I think they're in the same
level.
Or
is it the same type of player? Okay. Which is basically, if you're not going to be elite, why are we paying you this money that's going to steal from the other positions, basically?
And then we could just start over and maybe get somebody better. So it's like, I'm all for be as good as you can for as long as you can and hope you win a Super Bowl. I'm all for that theory, but you need the quarterback to be in place in order to do, like Buffalo's doing that. They haven't won yet, but only one team can win every year. Right. And we unfortunately have run up against the Chiefs a couple times, and just the AFC's a gauntlet. And I think if we were in the NFC, we probably would have been to one at least by now. And we've beaten the Chiefs the same amount of times they've beaten us. They just beat us in the playoffs, and it's close. It's not like we're getting beat up. It's just like we're just luck of the draw. So I'm okay with it if it's Buffalo in that case, or Baltimore. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Lamar, but I think he does other things that rises his team. He can carry his team on his back, with other things than throwing the football, even when he's not throwing that well.
Who would you pick, Kirk Cousins or Dak Prescott?
If I had to choose, I'd take Dak.
Yeah. Okay,
he's younger. He's got a better arm. Yeah, he can do more with his legs.
Right.
Kirk is a good player, and he's the smartest businessman in the game. He just robs from every team he goes to because they keep giving him pretty much fully guaranteed deals. Yeah. And I think Kirk's got something about him. He's got some moxie and some, even as much as people say about him, he's always got confidence, and he's just limited,
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel about Tua also, where he's limited in the same way Kirk is.
Right.
And Kirk's just an older version of that.
Right.
Really. So, all right. Let's see here. Sean McDermott gets fired if the Bills lose in the division round again.
Fact.
I think you're probably right. I don't think it would be deserved. I think that
I agree. Just the nature of the game.
I think they'll do it. The fans will be too loud at that point. They were loud last year. And it's not time to go because I think he's got something. And like I said, only one team can win, but he's probably going to be in a situation where they have to, like the team's going to have to.
Don't you think that you guys are teetering on that? Yeah, I mean, you're starting to teeter on that point where you can just never get over the hump. And so if you don't get over the hump, I mean, who else are you get? You're not. I mean, Josh Allen is Josh Allen.
Not going to get blamed.
Great.
Yeah, you don't until you do. So, like, remember the Bucks? They lost. They got rid of what's that coach? I love him. He's on NBC now. They left and Gruden took over for him, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't remember anything right now.
I can't remember his name. I can picture him. Tony Dungy.
Yeah. So they got rid of him. He goes to the Colts.
Yeah.
And what then
look at Andy Reid. Andy Reid's the same thing.
Leave and then but the thing is these guys are winning. Like Gruden went to Tampa Bay and won. He didn't win with the Raiders.
Right.
Dungy leaves, goes to the Colts, wins with the Colts, never won with the Bucks, but he kept getting there. Same thing.
True.
So
that's
like
true.
Reid never won with the Eagles. He kept getting there, and then he goes to a new place. So that would be probably my best guess of what happens to McDermott. Somebody's going to give him a chance.
Yeah, well, Buffalo also is a unique fan base, and I think the owners know that, and you guys do things a little bit different, which is a good thing. So maybe that they do realize that, it's a great coach, and
the fans are the problem. They're the ones who are clamoring.
Ravenous. Yeah.
It's about 50-50 right now who wants him gone.
Okay. Yeah. And again, that happens in every fan base when you start to feel a little bit of winning and, you get excited and then you get frustrated.
And they don't realize these are the same people clamoring for a center in round one and thinking that's going to get us over the hump against the Chiefs.
Right.
And then realize that like they just haven't given Josh Allen enough weapons to be consistently successful and not struggle all the time with offense and having to carry it on his back. And there's like, it should be fine. Allen can do it on his own. Get rid of the coach.
I think Curtis Samuel, we don't want to get on a rant, but I really think he's going to be even better than you think.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be amazing for you guys.
He's going to be great as a placeholder until the rookie receiver we draft steps in and can take over a little bit. And then I see Curtis having a more expanded role with us in the beginning of where he lines up as a wide receiver that he didn't get to do as often as he needed to.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's going to be that second option, I think, for the time being. And then the rookie will be the fourth option in the receiving core.
Right.
And then they'll kind of transition from there. But all right, next one. Daniel Jones starts for the Giants next year.
Fiction.
What
Yeah.
do you think they're going to do?
So they have Drew Lock and they have Daniels, right?
Yeah.
I think that they are going to draft a quarterback, and I think they're going to end up releasing Daniel Jones.
Okay. I can see that. I think that's fact. I think you're right. I think that he's done. I don't think they want any parts of it. The stupidest, I can't believe an ex-Buffalo head front office person, Joe Shane, goes from Buffalo to Giants after having Josh Allen, and he's fooled into thinking that Daniel Jones is a good quarterback because he threw not as many picks. That was really the premise. He didn't throw as many interceptions this year.
Well, he's not the only one. I mean, there's a lot of Kevin Sheehan, who I talked about a lot, Kevin Sheehan podcast, big Washington. He knows his stuff. He's always been a big Daniel Jones fan, and I've always scratched my head on that.
A lot of it's just because low expectations are a hell of a drug.
I don't know what that is, but no, I think
you haven't had a quarterback in Washington so long. He's probably like, I wish I had Daniel Jones.
Right, but yeah. And I think that they haven't released him yet because they don't know what to expect in the draft. They probably want a quarterback, but you don't know how that's going to pan out. There's no point in releasing him now. Maybe they'll have a battle for that position too, even if they draft a quarterback with Drew Lock and Daniels. That sounds like a plan to me.
Okay, I'm with you. I think it's fact. All right, next. Dolphins missed the playoffs given the emergence of the Jets, who signed Tyron Smith, Mike Williams, Simpson, the guard from Moses from the tackle from Baltimore, amongst others. They signed a ton of players. Oh, and then Hassan Reddick they just signed also.
Oh wow!
How
do you feel about that? Because I'm curious do you think that the Jets are making the right moves and they are going to be good?
If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, they're going to be a playoff team, and they're going to knock the Dolphins down. They're going to beat the Dolphins at least once next year, probably twice. Given this, they're freaking out.
Did they get a guard? Did they get a left guard? They did.
Yeah, I think it was Simpson. I think it was Simpson also from Baltimore, but I got to go back and check. They did get a left guard. They stacked their line. Now, a lot of guys have injury issues, so it's going to hinge on a lot. And then they're number 10 in the draft, so they're probably going to pick a guy like Brock Bowers.
Right.
I don't know. I think that the Dolphins are done. Their window was last year, and they blew it.
That's what I was going to say. I know I originally I was thinking I want to say neither one of them will make the playoffs, but
What about Kendall Fuller? You had Kendall Fuller. How do you feel about him? The Dolphins picked him up to replace Xavier Howard.
I think he's above average, and
that's all I think he is too.
Yeah. He's not a leader or anything, but he's above average. He'll get a couple picks a year. He's really good at jumping routes for picks, and he seems to always do it at the right time. But he'll also mess up, like a lot of cornerbacks. So
okay. Yeah. Russell Wilson starts past week 6 because he's competing with Justin Fields now.
Right. I think I would say true on that.
Oh, personally. You don't think Justin Fields is going to overtake him?
No, I think as much as we all want to believe that because we all everybody loves Justin Fields. Apparently he's a great guy. And I think that everybody wants him to have a second chance. But I feel like Russell Wilson is still going to be the starter.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. What do you think?
I have this weird feeling that it's going to turn into a camp battle, and they're going to be forced to put Justin Fields in because Russell Wilson just doesn't have it at all anymore. They're going to see too much of a gap between the athleticism and the two players, and they're going to go, we got to play with this guy because Pittsburgh's such a well-run organization. He came from the Bears, man. The Bears are like the worst team to start. I mean, it's Caleb Williams got a hard time. I don't care who they bring in. Yeah. They're not well built. They haven't been for years.
they seem like two totally different players too. Just stylistically, the frame, the size, the way they throw, what they're good at, what they're not good at. So
Yep.
that's a tough
Yeah.
one.
Well, the other thing is, I was talking to my sister-in-law this weekend, and she said that she thinks that maybe Russell Wilson is a perfect teacher for him because he does all the things that Fields doesn't do well.
Yeah.
Like see the field and
Yeah.
be more conservative. And Fields has got this big arm and mobility, and he wants to home run shot all the time. And it's just, Russell can show him how to curb that back. Something Russ took a long time for him to figure out.
Right.
Kind of using the middle of the field and stuff. So, okay. Last is, this is my last question. Jeff Driscoll just got signed by the Commanders. Is there any chance he beats Mariota in camp? Because a lot of you guys are really upset with Mariota and not wanting him to be your backup quarterback given previous evidence. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I'm one of those people. That was really the only move that this new front office made so far that had me scratching my head. I'm not a Mariota fan. But so, yeah, I could see that totally being a battle, and I could see Driscoll taking that spot for sure.
Okay.
And I mean, which would be not much different than what we saw. Well, when we saw them on the Hard Knocks, that was battle for, I believe, the starting quarterback. So
yes, it was.
Yeah.
Now he gave up on that because was there I heard something about he had a kid and he could spend more see his kids.
I don't know.
Most
the
guys
way it was shown in the actual show was as soon as he found out he didn't get the starting job, he's like, I'm out of here.
Okay.
That's really all we saw. We didn't get any sort of breakdown of why.
Okay.
But that might very well be true.
Okay,
so
cool.
I'm not a Mariota fan. I don't know much about Driscoll. He's been around a while. My first thought was, maybe he's supposed to be just kind of like the practice quarterback. But maybe he's going to make a run for that backup and they see something in him. So we'll see.
Cool. I want to do one thing. I don't want to do 7 rounds like we said. I'm just going to do the first 3 rounds real fast.
Of what?
With this simulator. I want to see what your thoughts are on these picks.
All right. The only other thing I wanted to mention was I think that anybody that wanted Drake Maye before Pro Day and anybody that wanted Jayden Daniels before Pro Day, they still believe the same exact thing. I don't think we saw anything that would change anybody's mind. I think they both looked impressive in their own way. You can twist it any way you want, but the things that are, the general managers are really trying to figure out right now, we just don't know what's going on in their head.
Right.
So.
Okay. Oh, okay. So here's the deal. Jayden Daniels got picked first in the simulator. So do you want to assume that Jayden Daniels is there?
That was my big prediction, right?
It happened in this mock draft. So let's do that. Just in case, say something happens, okay? So you got to offer for a trade. Can you see it on the screen?
Yeah.
So they're offering you pick 14, a 6th round, and a 5th round next year. I'll tell you right now, if you took this trade, you're a nut job. I would never do this. So we're rejecting that. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, and JJ McCarthy. Who would you take in this circumstance?
Caleb Williams. 100%.
Okay, we're going Caleb no matter what. All right, cool.
Which I still think is also a very big possibility that we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, and he doesn't want to go to the Bears.
Yeah. So I'm going to pause this when we get to pick 20-ish, 21. Okay. So you can see your picks 36 and 40 on the board, right? I think this is an opportunity to move up to get a tackle that you want.
I agree.
If you want to do it,
that's what I think is going to happen.
Okay, so
I think we package up those 2 second rounders to get back in the first.
So Philly, I don't think would trade with you, but I do think Minnesota, Dallas won't either. Let's go to Green Bay. Okay, Green Bay might though. Okay, so let's sit here. Okay, we have Amarius Mims on the board, right? We're going to offer a trade to Green Bay, Washington to Green Bay. We're going to offer 36 and 40 for 25. 25. Yep. Oh, they're saying that's not enough.
Oh,
that's
damn.
Bullshit. That's bullshit. All right, we're going to do let's throw 4th in. 36, 40. Oh, it's not enough on their end. That means we're offering too much. So let's do this and this.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. So in this case,
Right.
a second and a third would get you there. I think that's probably right also, as far as value goes. I don't think you'll need to give up 2 seconds. So let's trade it. And we're not trading.
Now Carolina wants to take
everybody wants to get up and take it. Okay. Well,
damn, that's a lot of picks.
And it's only 2 spots. They want to give us all that. All right, I think I have to. I'm just going to take it. I literally just got a ton of crap for nothing. Okay. We're rejecting the rest. All right. Amarius Mims, I think, is the best potential here. He's a superstar athlete. He has potential to play left tackle. And I think this is a good spot for you. So that's who I
this is where you know more about this than I do. We need
look at other positions.
We desperately need a left tackle. So you said he'd be good for that, but he doesn't really. That's not his natural position.
No, it is. It is. Okay. But he's an athlete more so right now. He's raw, so he's going to take a little time to develop. But that's not a big deal considering the kind of athlete. He's a really high end athlete.
Okay,
like he's a really, really special athlete, and I think that he's going to be somebody who will need a little bit of work, a little refinement, but ultimately he's the last player and last tackle on the board. Yeah, I think he's a couple levels up from Guyton and Suamatia from who I think Suamatia would have been good for you as a second round position, who could potentially play left tackle, although mostly right now. So let's take Mims.
But the idea of us moving back into the first round to get an offensive tackle, I'm all for that. I think that's a really important position.
Yep.
That we obviously still need right off the bat. We didn't address it in free agency, so I think we need to do that. Yeah.
So we got Caleb, and we got our starting quarterback of the future, who's probably not going to be Caleb. It's probably going to be Jayden Daniels or Drake Maye or JJ McCarthy.
Or JJ. Right.
And then, so the bottom line is you get your quarterback that you want, and you got a left tackle of today and the future. So he'll be able to start for you immediately. He's just not going to be like a top 5 left tackle yet in the league. He does have that potential though. And then we're at pick 40 now. So let's take a look at the board. So we have, you don't have a defensive tackle need. Jazon Newton fell a little bit. I really like him.
I really like him a lot. I tried to get him in our mock draft and you guys shot me down. So
so he's also somebody who could fill in once Allen moves on, right? Because Allen's only got like a year left, maybe 2, right?
Correct.
So he can move in. He could be in your rotation. Or here's a second option. You guys need edge help pretty badly too.
Correct. Yeah.
And you have Demian Robinson, who is Chop Robinson. That's his real name.
Yeah.
The Chop, who's mate, or Chris Braswell. Robinson's a better athlete, but he's got some refinement to do with his move set. Like he doesn't have a ton of pass rush moves yet. He doesn't have a pass rush plan a lot of times, but he sets the edge. He's got the athleticism to become maybe a Von Miller type athlete, versus Chris Braswell is not going to be quite that level of guy, and his upside is not nearly as high, but he's a good pass rusher currently. He's just not quite the athlete as Robinson. So it all depends on who you want. Do you want the athlete who can develop or no?
Well, so my thought process is, okay, if I'm this general manager, I agree about what you said about Jonathan Allen. I think that he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I think he might be a little overrated personally.
Okay.
We're toward the end of his contract. We're thinking the future. This GM, this guy, they did a great job in San Francisco of building that roster and thinking about depth and young. And so I'm thinking more defensive tackle, but is that too early in this?
No.
Okay.
Newton. This is a steal for Newton. Newton's probably a top 20 pick in this draft.
So then that's what I personally would do.
Okay. Any other positions you want me to take a look at real quick or no?
Linebacker, if there's somebody they really love, but
Edgerrin Cooper and Peyton Wilson, both the top linebackers are there, and they are both worth the 40th pick. And they're both Peyton Wilson tested really, really good.
Okay.
So he is a guy who could step in and play linebacker. Although you just brought in a bunch of linebackers. You know what I mean?
They may be a little, just filling some holes. But
Johnny Newton is the best player on the board, and it's not close, I don't think. So if you think D tackle is valuable, I would take D tackle if you value that position, you think the other because you're going to get middle pressure instead of the edge.
No, I think that's the move, and it
Okay.
seems like that's the move that this type of franchise makes. So
All right, let's take them. All
Yeah.
right, we got pick 66 as our next selection because we picked this up in the trade. No, that's not the trade one. Wow, this guy's offering you so much. One pick, he's giving you all right, accept it. It's one pick. Why would I not do that? I'm not giving you anything for next year, buddy. All right, so let's take a look at. So here's one thing that I want to kind of strut out to you to see if you think is a good idea for Washington. Jatavian Sanders is on the board as a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
He's the second best tight end in this draft. He fell to this pick 67, okay, which is not out of the realm of possibility. It could happen. How do you feel about doing that and getting somebody just to learn behind Ertz?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
All right. Any other positions? Receiver. You need a guard. There's a ton there. I think linebacker's kind of out right now. You missed on the two guys that I would have picked.
Yeah.
Corner, you're okay at corner, probably. What about safety? Any interest in safety, considering you have one guy kind of in place and the other one's kind of a unknown?
One guy, you're talking about Chin's
a solidified player, and I think your other guys are young.
I'm going to bet that they're going to like our young guys.
Okay, that's fine.
We've got Forrest and
tight end here.
I think that I would not be surprised. I think your teasing is pretty good. You know, we got Bates, who's a young tight end. I told you about that one tight end that didn't even play last year that got hurt.
Yeah. You need a developmental guy behind Ertz. Is just he's getting to that point in his career where just not.
Yeah. And you could see somebody like that might easily get injured because he's older and we'll see. Yeah.
Any running back needs or no?
No.
Okay.
I love running backs.
Interior offensive line. I think you did fit. So here's my thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, we did a good job filling a lot of holes. The only big one was the guard. So the tackle, offensive tackle.
And Christian Haynes is a guard who's available here.
Okay.
And I know you picked up the backup from Kansas City, who's probably going to be a starter the way they paid him.
Yeah.
But I think you need a young guy who's got some high upside. Christian Haynes is that kind of player that I think could step in and start day one, either at right guard or left, whatever the other guy doesn't play,
Yeah.
I don't know who else you got, though, is the thing. I don't know if there's anybody else on the roster, but that seemed like a weakness early on. I'm not sure how you feel about that.
I like it.
Okay. All right. Let's do Haynes.
Okay.
And last pick, because we're just doing three rounds, rejecting all trade offers. All right. So the best players on the board, if you want to just do best player available, there are three safeties in the top four here that are like fantastic value.
Oh, wow.
And you're going to need a third safety to step in, I think, because you do have the young guy Martin and Chin. Yeah. But after that, you don't have much, And I think even though he won't be a full-time starter, he may end up being better than Martin or Chin. Who knows?
We've got Derek Forrest too, which I love. I love him.
Okay.
But it depends on if they like these young players. I'm not sure if they even do. So
if it was me, I would take Javon Bullard here and just call it a day. And that way you can have, or Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is.
I was going to say, what do you think about him? I think we've talked about him before.
He's like the third. He's probably the fourth consensus linebacker. He's gone from first to fourth. And it's nothing crazy. I just think that Wilson and
is he like a true middle linebacker?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would call him that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he can do both, but he's going to be more of just a traditional middle linebacker.
Okay.
So he could learn on the job from Wagner.
Right.
Wagner, right? That's who you got, right?
Yeah, Bobby Wagner. Yeah.
So let's do that. Let's do Trotter.
Okay.
And that's it. So if your draft came in like this, Caleb, Amarius Mims, Jerzon Newton, Jatavian, Christian Haynes, you'd be pretty damn happy. I think
would be extremely happy.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good move. So, all right, that's it.
Cool.
Cool, man. Well, we'll do something else unless something crazy happens. We'll do something else fun next time too. We still need to do the quarterback ranking quiz.
Quarterback ranking. Absolutely.
And that's going to be fun. And then I'm still trying to get enough people together to do this panel draft where we do a first round and we have like six teams apiece that we do. And we can study it in advance of like what we think this team is their needs are gonna be.
Right.
And then so we're not having to learn 32 teams. You're gonna have to learn like 6 teams, and then just you'll know them well enough to be like, okay, I'm here. You know, I'm the Vikings, right? And I got 2 first rounders. I need to get a place to move up.
Right.
Alex, you got the 4th pick.
Right.
Would you take it for 11 and 23, and I'll trade it to you or whatever? You know, something like that.
Like
so
that.
we'll figure it out. But yeah, so everyone remember to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, send us a comment, and we'll see you next time.